My role as moderator is quite simple. It's to ensure that we maximize on the collective experience of our panelists, and also ensure that you have a fairly engaging session, some insights. And in our pre-discussion, we were, what came through was, we want to give some actionable insights, less of jargon, more of what you can use and put to work when you go back. And we also wanted to factor in enough time for Q&A. Okay, so you can expect a lot of quirky, insightful inputs from the panelists. And here we go. The first question to all the panelists, because we've heard a lot of AI in different, I'm sure you would have heard a lot of AI yesterday. You're going to hear a lot of AI today as well. So the question to the panelists is, and we talk about hyper-personalization in many different ways. The first question is not related to L&D, right? How have you experienced AI personalization in your life? In your personal life, where and how have you experienced this hyper-personalization? And has it really struck a chord with you, and what's your reaction?
See, my personal experience, I'll start with the most basic one. So I use a Healthation app for my regular checkups, right? And the AI is helping me now in giving me insights without going to a consultation. That, okay, 3 months back, your cholesterol level was this, your bilirubin was this, your uric acid was this, and you're doing something right now that it is getting into a shape. Right?
All these words are pretty scary. Uric, okay.
Yeah, so I mean, these are all vitals, right? When you work in startups and when you're working for long, in corporate, you tend to, not able to focus on your health, etc. So I decided to leverage technology to take care of my health, my fitness. So I'm using a fitness app, I'm using a health records app, and it is helping me, to be honest. So it has improved, at least it has got my attention. So AI is helping me in that, number one. Number two, I'm also bad in managing some of the logistics, the personal errands at home. So some of those things is also, that's AI, the recommendation, like for example, it's as simple as Zepto, right? I'm not sure how much you guys are using, but I'm a very frequent user. I forget things. So this quick, service is actually helping me and doing a lot of things. And they actually help me, hey, 3 days back you have ordered something. Do you want to? And then the notification, the nudge helps me in the morning. And the interesting thing is the nudge actually comes in the morning. So they know when to push the notification in the morning. So that AI is helping me also to be did I forget to order milk? Because I'm a coffee person, I start my day with coffee. So it's as simple as that for me. And in the professional space also, like for example, some of the banking apps are now helping me in my spend analysis, right? To want to check out on where my credit card is getting swiped, right? So those are some of the things.
Okay, I can go next. So AI for me, I feel, is a well-meaning but a very nosy friend. And the reason I say that is because while it remembers my birthday, it insists on showing me ads for running shoes that I have to buy because I Googled how to avoid injuries while running, right? So that is AI. But on a personal front, Ram, since you said, how has it affected us personally? I think this credit goes to my husband because he decided to take the challenge of ensuring that our 15-year-old son is engaged and is focused and takes his studies seriously. So that's how AI has worked for us. He's decided to create mock case studies for my son, which sort of resonate with, he's into football right now. I think their favorite team is Arsenal. So he's decided to create case studies with Arsenal in mind and hyper-personalized to something that, will be engaging for my son. And hopefully the horror story of all parents, get them to study. So we've seen a resounding success on that front.
Wow, that's an interesting case study.
It is.
I have a small story to tell here. I think, so we were planning to go, me and my wife, along with my son, we're planning to go on a vacation in December. And I was discussing with my wife generally, and we said that let's go to Meghalaya. It's a beautiful place, and we haven't visited the eastern part of the country. And suddenly I see on the phone that you start getting everything related to Meghalaya and all the trips, the vacations that are coming in. And we said that it's going to be pretty cold. It's around 10 degrees there. So let's look at Uniqlo, because Uniqlo is cheap and they've got that heat tech, which is really good. So, and suddenly Uniqlo started showing up. So what I think is this is hyper-personalization. To a level, it gets scary, right? Because they're listening to you. Every single conversation that we are having here, whatever we are doing, leaves a digital footprint. To me, how do we kind of create that thin line between the digital footprint that we are leaving and we have that ethics coming in between? And I'm a great proponent of AI. Is going to be very crucial. But when I got this question, Ram, this came to my mind because that was the time we were having this discussion, right? So we were discussing about these questions. So this is my experience on what I feel about AI.
Yeah, I think AI is all pervasive. It was there in different form and has now gained more prominence. Can be pretty scary how much some systems know about us more than our our own. One tip that I have used is browse in incognito, so that when I'm done with recommendations, I don't want recommendations. For me, I also relate to AI as a echo chamber. Why I say that is, you start talking something, you start certain words, and those words start it takes you on a certain path in the world of internet products, etc., etc. So you get narrowed down to it. So it's good to sometimes browse in incognito so that AI doesn't catch you. Okay, good. So coming into L&D now, yes, hyper personalization is possible. It's prevalent across multiple industries, domains, and how do we use it to our advantage? That's our focus. To explore that, let's look at what are the, as L&D folks, what do we want our employees to be, right? As L&D folks, we are, of course, lifelong learners, right? Continuous learning is what we drive, and that's what we role model as well, and that's the trait that we want, right? So the question to all the to the panelists is, if you were to describe in 3 to 4 words, what traits come to your mind, or how would you put across saying who is a lifelong learner?
My personal experience in this space, I would say just in one line is your ability to unlearn and relearn. That's it, to be honest, because experience is a baggage, guys. Respectfully, getting old, lot of gray hairs or no hairs, but I think our ability to unlearn and relearn is what will make us avid learner.
I hope that reflects in the job descriptions.
I think I'll go with that. I think the ability to unlearn, and especially as leaders, the heuristics that we follow every time, how we are programmed, is going to be an important trait of how do you become a lifelong learner. So the ability to unlearn, absolutely. For me, that's number one.
I think everyone agrees that curiosity is something that really helps with lifelong learning. Self-motivation, self-reflection would be some words that come to mind.
So curiosity, learning, agility, unlearning, and there are quite a few tools as well out there which give us, and that's something that I use in my hiring. Whenever I'm hiring someone in L&D, definitely I would want to assess the learning agility. If that's low, then you really can't drive learning within an organization. That's the key. We want all of the employees to become lifelong learners if they're already not. But what are the enablers and pretty sure in an organization of 100 people, you may have maybe 20, 30 people who are lifelong learners, and others, you need to really nudge them, right? And my favorite quote around change remains, even if you are not changing your job, the job that you are doing is changing, right? And our L&D jobs are changing. Any job that everyone does is changing with advent of technology and many other things. So you want to create a learning organization, right? Maybe good to look up Peter Senge's definition of what is a learning organization. And he says learning organization is the biggest differentiator between organizations who have longevity vis-a-vis organizations who nosedive after being on the top as well, right? So an organization which has a culture of learning, peer learning, systemic learning, all of those things, right? That's what a learning organization is. And all of us, our aim is to create a learning organization, right? So let's explore with the panel in terms of what are those enablers. What does it take to create a learning organization? What are the levers, enablers that we can look at? Because I've got some taunts from Piyush. Let me not start with APNA now.
So he'll stare at me and I get the message. Right, but the enablers I feel would be innovation, and again this is 3 to 4 words, right, Ram? Yeah, so innovation, strategic mindset, adaptability, flexibility, I feel could be great levers to having a learning organization.
Okay. I think I can go next. I feel psychological safety, just to add in, is a great lever, and can't take away the importance or the imperativeness around the psychological safety, because a lot of organizations, and just to, I won't take much time. If you look at the innovation curve into any organization or industry that's doing very well, pharma is the industry that does the maximum innovation. And the failure rate in pharma is the highest. So if there are 100 drugs, not even 1 or 2 would get through. And the most successful industry is the education industry, where the failure rate is the lowest, right? But the challenge is that the innovation doesn't happen there. And I think psychological safety as an organization, how do we kind of create that amongst us, is very important to create that lifelong learning organization.
So I will answer in 2 parts, Ram, if you allow. And then this is based on real experience, because I was fortunate enough to work on large enterprise setups, then a very restrictive banks. So worked for companies like Wipro, which is very focused on learning, very focused on building versus buying, as in terms of talent strategy, right? Very amazing experiences working with the very stalwart leaders like Abhijit Bhaduri, Dr. Mrityunjay, and everyone, right? So that was a very different experience versus when I started working in a very new age startups, right? Where the culture is fail fast, learn fast, move fast, right? So I think the enablers mostly depend on what kind of environment, what kind of organization that you're working with. I always say that what has worked for you in the past will not work for you in future, which means, and which is why every time you have to, even if you are in the same job, like you mentioned, right, that was very, very apt and appropriate. Even in the same job, you might have to drive excellence, right? So for me, enablers have always been candor first, curiosity later. And I'll tell you why. And this is not just a word or a jargon. Even to be innate curious, you have to drive a little bit of candor, the culture of candor, where what Rocky mentioned, right, about psychological safety. The psychological safety comes only when you drive a behavior of failure is forgiven. It's okay. You keep experimenting, right? You keep trying, right? So, one thing that I loved in my last 5-6 years with You know, a lot of startups where we keep using word disruption. We want to disrupt everything. I don't know what, but yeah. Right? So that's where we keep talking about it, is that, okay, it's okay, guys, keep experimenting, keep trying. And these experimentation drives innovation, that drives the learning behavior. That it's okay to fail, but do not stop trying. Right? We normally start to restrict ourselves in trying or experimenting when there is a lot at stake. Right? The moment you give that comfort that failure is forgiven in the company, in the organization, in your role, in your team, I think that's the biggest enabler to drive a learning organization. Right? That's number one. And the number two is which I'm trying to, I'm not saying that I've been succeed, I've already got the success, is I'm not showing every time that the growth or success is vertical. So I keep trying to convey the messages or within the team, within the functions, the cultures, that start working on things or start adding more things in your skill kitty, in your expertise, which is even if it is not relevant to your exact current role. If you can do plus, like secondary and tertiary skills, and I sold this through, right, yeah, guys, it can be a second career opportunity. There is just so much of uncertainty in the world, right? Even a lot of buzz about AI taking the job away, right? Everyone says that. And we say that, it's a technology and you are the master, so behave like one, right? So that you don't have to be worried about it or drive any kind of insecurity. So another thing that I keep trying is just keep adding more secondary and tertiary skills in whatever you do, right? That is also another enabler in the organization to drive the learning culture. And that has helped up to some extent, especially in the startup organizations, because you always have constraints. And creativity comes out of constraints, guys. When you have enough, you will never do it. So when you are always operating with constraints, you are pushed to do things differently. And that is one of the enabler that has worked, to build a learning organization as well.
Wonderful. I think theory of constraints is an ocean in itself.
It is.
Definitely creates those elements of curiosity, challenging the status quo, and a lot of those elements. So so we know what needs to be done to, and it is not. And the flavor that I'm getting is learning not from a perspective of learning a particular skill, but it is about evolving as an organization, right? It's not about HR trying to launch few courses and people learning those courses. It is about learning on the job, doing things differently, picking up new skills, and the organization innovating, coming out with new products, and that's what is the learning organization. Moving out from a small world of HR L&D to organization change and organization development as such. For this, we want people to grow, people to challenge, try different things, experiment, etc., etc. But how do we enable that, and how do we use AI to do that, right? Like we discussed multiple data points, right? Either Fouzia looked for, how do I run injury-free, or Piyush got prompts on milk, right? All of these are data points and prompts that AI is using to drive certain behavior, right? Now, let's explore what are the data points that we have in an employee life cycle or in the employee's journey, or what data points that we have about employees, which an AI system engine can use as recommendations to drive learning behavior. This behavior of trying to be a lifelong learner, challenge status quo, create curiosity. What are those data points that we have that an AI can use to generate those prompts? So, Rocky?
I think, especially in L&D, for the last The disruption word that we use, I don't think the disruption has happened in L&D. If I look at it, what was the last disruption that we talk about? The technology disruption in L&D is the LXP, which is like a band-aid on LMS, and at the back end. However, I feel we are in that inflection point that the next 1.5 years for us as professionals, especially L&D or talent professionals, it's going to be an exciting phase. And why do I say that? There is so much of innovation that has come in, especially in the way how business works. And I'm going to touch base on this point, though it's not practical right now, but I think it's a great opportunity to realize there is a rise of agents, AI agents that's happening. And what does this mean and how is it going to help get data points? We have very different systems. For example, you've got SAP, you've got Workday, you've got Microsoft, the entire suite of Microsoft. And in that entire thought of creating the best AI, a lot of times, we have this discussion in HR and Microsoft went and said that Copilot is the best. One thing you have to be sure of that none of the AI solutions or tools that we see today can solve for the entire problem that we have or entire challenges of the business. We would need to have different tools for different purposes because they come in with their own ingenuity and also the knowledge of the business they are in. For example, SAP is going to come with Jules. They have an amazing AI tool lined up. You've got Workday that's going to come up with their Workday agent. You've got Copilot. Now, what these agents would do is pick up information from the business cases or the business work that's happening and be able to pass on that information into your LMS or LXP to an agent to tell you what's the flow of learning that you need at the point of work that you're doing, which is currently not happened. And that's where I'm saying that this next 1.5 to 2 years, because of the rise of LLMs, it's going to be very, very exciting. Now, what are the data points? You've got the entire life cycle. You've got, you've got your best of, you've got Career Hub in Workday. If you look at Career Hub, the biggest challenge that we never went in for Workday, one is because of the look and everything. The second thing, you don't go in for a Workday because they never had an assessment or they never had a proficiency model. Currently, if you look at Workday, they have all of it. What they don't have is the upstream and the downstream. How do they connect in? I think these rise of agents, the AI agents, will help us do that. And they are the ones who are going to pick up my data points which are required and we don't have to work for it. All L&D people, and I've generally seen that, are core tech folks from heart. A lot of us. Because they understand technology. They understand, and you've got technology instruction designer. Somebody who understands what do you mean by instruction design from technology. So I feel for us, it's going to be an exciting time, looking at what is happening. And, it's just a normal thing to read about it. And I'm sure we are all going to touch base on this in the next year or so. That's what I.
Yeah. Great points. And this, going back to the AI personal example that you gave, that you were thinking of a vacation and then a lot of options sort of came up, reminded me of a scenario where I was giving feedback to one of my team members. So it's a skip-level reportee who sent out a communication to a set of stakeholders. And there are times when you want to empower people to send out communications on their own. And after the communication is out, you scratch your head on, my God, what just went out, right? And so I was cringing, and I said, okay, the first thing we need to do is put this person onto a course on communication skills, business writing, right? And so I'm just looking at a parallel. So if this was I wrote an email to my, reportee to assign that course to his reportee, and I'm just trying to draw a parallel. If an AI engine would pick up this conversation and push a prompt, how will that be? Okay. So yeah, interesting parallels. Let's explore what more data points can a system use. Yes, Fouzia.
Thanks, Ram. I think from a futuristic perspective, right, adding to what Rocky probably mentioned, there is going to be stuff like, cognitive data that might come into play, right? For example, micro expressions, AI will be able to detect if you're confused, so it'll, probably capture that moment if there is a feedback loop that has to go back and content needs to change, right? It can even sense if you're bored, so therefore does the content need to be more engaging, for example. It can also probably look at data which helps with, what time of the day are you at your best, right? So peak performance data can also be fed in from a learning organization perspective that may come, handy. But having said that, while we're saying that, these social behavioral, pieces can be looked at from a futuristic perspective, I don't know if people are following the EU Legislation Act, which sort of bans or has classified cognitive or social, behavioral pattern data as a very, very high risk or banned for the moment. So we'll have to see how that evolves, but there is a lot of talk in, getting these data points, apart from the obvious ones like roles and skills, all of those pieces, etc.
Interesting. Now, it can actually even enhance the quality of content.
Yes, exactly. So the feedback loop that goes back at every data point that you have, hyper-personalization becomes another key player there.
That will be a great boon for all the e-learning content creators.
I'm a little skeptical in that because I'll tell you, all the AI is basically based on the prompts and the LLMs that we are building, the inputs, right? See, I think the bigger challenge for us as an HR function or the tools, the platforms that we use is the data that is going there. So you said that, what kind of data we can leverage to build a customized path, content, and solutions. So that problem is for us, I think, and for most of us, is the data is too much scattered in 5 different things. Because even today, as we speak, not even a single platform or tool or a product has all like its piecemeal solution in different pieces, right? Do we have some of the informations about the personal information, education, experience, performances, which we connect the dots and then we build some solutioning around it? I think it becomes junk in, junk out most of the time. So even today, all the AI-based LMSs is based on, we have done some analysis, the L&D team or my learning partner has done some analysis with the business folks, basis the previous performances, and then, they would have found some, low raters, no raters, or some new skills or new capabilities that we have to build. So the input that is going from our end is more important. It's not necessary that AI will be able to grab all information and give you the right thing. So the prompt that we are giving it to the model, the prompt that we are giving to the platform, the tool to build that solution is very, very important, right? So, I mean, we were solving, one of the live example that we had is that when we were growing very fast, we were solving 2 problems. Either we are filling a capability gap or we are filling a bandwidth gap, right? These are the 2 problems that we were solving. And we said that, okay, rather than becoming a technology first or HR first, let's become business first. Understand your business strategy, build your talent strategy accordingly. That will give you talent outcome, and that will, by default, will give you business outcome. Isn't it? Very simple, right? So we started picking up those inputs from there, and then rather than doing a traditional way of identifying a training and doing a training analysis and identifying the needs, etc., we thought, okay, let's understand business problems first, find out those gaps, look at our internal organization, and then move forward. So I think what's really, really important before engaging any AI tool or platform and leverage a lot of other information is first figure it out what information you want to give it to them. I mean, it is a little contradictory maybe, but it's really important as well from use case, a real use case perspective.
Interesting. And as Piyush was sharing this, what struck me is we are talking a lot about future gazing, but I want to ask audience a question to sort of understand maturity level of where we are.
Yeah.
The simplest aggregation is, you have the mid-year reviews and annual reviews where managers put in comments saying these are the development areas for each of these employees. If we are able to aggregate those, and then the system tells us at an org level, these are the development areas, at a function level, these are the development areas, at a team level, these are the development areas. That itself is a huge win. And I just want to check with the audience, whatever systems that you have, is your system able to do this at this point? If yes, please raise your hand.
Silence is resounding.
Expected from NK, from Ramco Systems. Yeah. Okay, so if you are taking it's 1% technically, we still need our system to mature to a basic expectation, right? Before any of the AI can sort of kick in. While AI is still helping us in terms of maybe content development and converting audio to text and stuff like that. At an ecosystem level, for AI to kick in, we still have a way to go. That's my assessment. You want to say something now?
No.
Okay. So while we are at it, and we are saying that even if you are not changing your job, the job that you do is changing, so on and so forth. I would like us to explore how L&D as a function is evolving and changing. It has definitely changed over a few years. 10 years back, I didn't have someone as a digital learning lead, right? But today, digital learning, occupies majority. That's the meatiest role currently in the L&D structure, maybe beyond leadership development. So I would like to explore with the panel in terms of what changes do you see have happened and you're likely to see happen in terms of the nature of work and structure of L&D teams.
I can go first, considering we're doing this in order.
He felt disappointed.
I don't think so. He's very happy, smiling. But I think I'd like to unpack a little bit about what Rocky said earlier on agentic AI, right? So I read Josh Berson's recent article on agentic AI. So it's talking about, how we revolutionize in this, evolving landscape of AI and how we are moving away from software as a service, which is your SaaS traditional model, to services by software, right? So what does an agentic AI mean, right? So we have the traditional chatbots, etc. So it gives you answers. But with an agentic AI, you're going to be able to perform tasks, or it will help you with decision making as well. So it takes action on your behalf. And what does that mean? Right, so it's moving away from large language models, which are your LLMs, to large action models. And if you're following that, Josh Bersin is a great place to sort of look this at. Imagine having an agentic L&D AI agent in your organization. So what does that mean for you? If you say that I need to train my sales team on a new product, it'll not only speak to your subject matter experts, get the insights, record them, create the module, send it to you for a review, and once you approve, obviously publish, look at the learner engagement, analytics, etc., and give you that entire loop closed, just by ensuring that you fed it into the right system, etc. Interestingly, the CEO of Lattice says that we may have agentic AIs as a part of the org structure as well. So imagine having to sort of manage a mix of employees which are not only human but AI as well, and that will reflect on your org charts. That's the way experts are saying that we're going to be shifting towards. So that's my bit on how L&D is going to change, and where does L&D's role probably fit in? You're going to be able to onboard, train, coach your agentic AI agents, right? And that's how the future of work will be for L&D from an AI perspective. Let
me be very honest. We are a little laggard in L&D space in terms of AI usage. The only thing that we are using right now, like everyone, all of us mentioned already, LMS, LXP now, right? It's like another iOS version update, right? Respectfully. So how it will change for us right now? I'll tell you the reason is because the learning organization or the budget or the function doesn't get the priority unless it becomes the business priority or business, when business starts to feel that, oh, we are lagging behind now, and the hockey stick curve is going to hurt us, and that's where we start to have conversation, guys, time to invest, right? Buying always not help, let's build. How it will change if we start to really evolve with AI is, I think our learning leads, our L&D partners will become the prompt engineers for these products. We will start to feed them right information to even to do the predictive analysis, right? There is an input required. So my L&D partners will start to understand and translate business requirement really well, rather than doing an executional job or transactional job or presenting those things, taking those sessions. It will be self-paced learning. It will be contextualized pace. It will be the dropouts between the LMS and LXP will change. All the transactional and low-end work will evolve through AI, but the content piece, making it fit for purpose, all of those things, the architecture work, they will grow up in the ladder. They will do more value-added job. So my organization will become more leaner, right? And I think I'm looking at it, my R&D organization mid-levels and above, and not the junior folks, because execution will not be a problem for me after that. And then I will push that through these nudges, through this technology. I think I will, I'm looking at it, my future R&D organization is not just holding the responsibility or target of completing these many of training hours and building the capability, etc. It becomes a business responsibility, and we become their enablers. So they will be held accountable and responsible, and my lending team, the way we have HR business partner, will have the learning business partners who will work with the businesses, the verticals, and literally track their growth, that how we have moved the needle from point A to point B. So for me, the AI will become a catalyst, and my L&D partner, the human, will become the ingredient.
A quick one, I think, and this change has already started happening. L&D as partners, and I'm equally responsible for this. We were generally order takers, at least till the last 5 years, or even till now. Business has a problem, they come up with a solution and they come to us, and generally we are forced to come up with that solution, right? I think what AI would help us do better, which is already happening through a behavioral push and change of the talent landscape, is that we are getting a bit more towards the advisory space, to saying that how do we advise as partners to you and not as order takers. And just going back on that point, I don't think you would ever need a prompt to be given. These prompts will be provided by the machine, is what I feel. And why do I say that? Today, your entire content development that happens, I remember the days of Flash. We had that archaic technology, and that stopped working on your mobile phones, and we had to go away from that Flash way of developing content. Now your content development happens in seconds. You go to Galileo, and Josh Bersin talks about it, and you can use it on your own. You would see that in 10 seconds, you're able to create what would take you a month or week, right? And learning in the flow of work then actually happens through. I think that's where, how do we leverage on these smaller wins? And we are able to show our leadership team that what's the power of learning really can come in, and nobody else can do that for us. My CHRO can't do it, or the chief HR. We have to do it ourselves, is what I feel. Show those small incremental changes every day that kind of comes through. Also look at ways, I think Ram's point was very relevant when it came down to saying that your systems don't talk, your mid-years don't talk to your talent reviews, or your talent reviews don't talk to your annual reviews. How is it that you can use it? Copilot is available to everyone, right? And if you would just want to use it for your succession planning or your leadership development planning, you would just need that on a Word document uploaded. You would get amazing answers right now. And no organization, at least 99% of organizations, allow Copilot to be used. So I feel that the technology right now is in your hands. And like I said, we are sitting on that inflection point, And we will all have to go through this grind. It's that point of saying that disruption is inevitable, transformation is always a choice, right? So when your business model or your core assets get disrupted, you would have to go in and learn or go along the way is what I feel, right? Thanks, Ram, I know.
As Rocky was talking about it, it reminded me of, yesterday I saw a post by Chris Shankar. He asked Google Notebook, AI model to summarize his book, and it created a podcast in few minutes. A 25-minute podcast of a book which is about 400 pages, Google created in a minute. And he said it captured the best parts of the book and summarized beautifully. So that's definitely a case study for content creation. Okay, we are time up with our discussions. Just checking maybe one or two questions from the audience before we wrap it up. Okay, right. We hand it over back to you.